Food isn't just food. It's comfort, it's control, it's connection. But for some of us, it's war. You hate it, but you need it. You promise yourself, I'm never going to do that again. Then the guilt hits and the cycle starts all over again. It's not really about food, though, right? It's about the pain underneath. It's the pain you don't talk about. It's the pain that makes you feel like you're not good enough. You're not enough. Bulimia thrives in silence. Shame keeps it hidden. But today, we're not going to stay silent anymore. Today, we're talking about what it feels like to heal. Have you ever hit a moment where success wasn't enough? Where the weight of your past and the scars no one sees, or the doubts you don't dare voice, keep you from breaking through to the life you know you're capable of? Maybe on the outside, you've achieved more than most, but inside, there's still something holding you back. If that hits home, take a breath. You found your people. You found your tribe. Welcome to That Shit Does Not Define You, Stories of Hope. I'm Athena Captain, joined by my co-host, Jada Haycraft. This isn't just another podcast, friends. It's a space to strip away the labels, the shame, and the invisible barriers standing between you and your next chapter in life.
In every episode, we'll bring you raw, real stories of resilience, people who have rewritten their lives, and give you the strategies and tools to do the same. Whether you're climbing out of rock bottom or breaking through to your next level, your future starts here. Let's get started.
Because you're not broken. You don't have to struggle anymore. And that shit doesn't have to define you, right? And we have a great, We have a great guest today who's going to share her story and tell us, how do we have recovery? How do we have victory over bulimia? So I'm so excited that you guys are here today. I do want to say thank you, everyone, for following us. I know Jada would tell me we need you to like and subscribe, leave a review. They like that stuff in the social media world, so we need to do that, you know? But most importantly, you need to share this. You know there's somebody in your life that needs to hear this today. Please share this. Use this as a resource to love on the people around you who are struggling. Please do that. And if you guys have ideas that you want us to talk about or feedback of how we can make this better to have a positive impact on the global community, please give us feedback. We want to hear. So, Jada, hello, Jada. Yay. Okay, tell us about who do we have today?
Yes, well, I am excited to announce that we have Carrie on our podcast. She has lived, enough lives for a Netflix miniseries, from flight attendant during 9/11 to raising twins in France. Wow, I bet that was beautiful, but hard. To co-writing films on the cosmos. Along the way, she wrestled with eating disorders, alcohol, and a few crash landings in love. But today, she's proof that broken pieces can be remade into a masterpiece. With humor, honesty, and faith, she shares how grace, resilience, and a little bit of stubbornness helped her to discover that truly that shit doesn't define you. So please help me welcome Carrie. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for asking me to participate.
I'm
Oh,
so
yes, it's
thankful.
an honor.
So I have to just tell the listeners, I've met Carrie because her sister is one of my best friends. And her sister, I just have to say, if you've ever had that friend that you know the moment you're in their presence, you will feel joy, that's her sister. I
Mm.
mean, you just know if you need some joy in your life, some laughter, some love, you just walk into a room with her sister. And so I'm so thankful that Wendy introduced us. And thank you for being here. And I'm excited to get to know you better and to further this relationship after this podcast. So I'm very
I'm
excited.
excited too, and you're so right about Wendy. She and I used to play with tape recorders and do interviews when we were children together. And like I have to say, she was always funnier than I was, and so clever. So yeah, it's I'm very proud to call her my little sister.
I
Wendy's
love
joy,
it.
truly, though, it really is infectious. Every time I've seen her,
Yeah,
like her joy, her laughter, it just like makes you want to be more joyful.
Yeah,
so true. She's
it's
great.
I know, and it's not fake. That's the
No.
thing. I
No,
mean, there's
no,
nothing. I mean, I'm just
it's impossible for her to be fake, and I
Yeah.
have to say that I share that as well,
I
and,
love that.
so I'm so happy today to be true and to be real
Yay.
with you and,
Ah,
hopefully really, get the message out there to some people that need it.
excellent. So let's dive in because you have been willing to be vulnerable today and
Mm.
authentic so that you could help other people, and we appreciate that. But so take us back to the beginning. Where did your relationship with food start to feel complicated or unhealthy?
I have to say, I think I was about, oh, it was 14, 15 years old. Body starts changing. I started, feeling really bad about myself, what I saw in the mirror. My parents were divorced. I hadn't really seen my dad, since I had been 5 years old. So, there's that absent father, am I why did he, why am I not good enough for him, to why didn't he take me with him? Because to be truthful, I did not have a healthy relationship with my mom at the time, probably because she was trying to focus on her, divorce life 2.0. And so I had a lot of unsettled emotions within me. And I have to admit it, there was anger there. I wasn't being asked about what I thought about the world that I had been brought into. I wasn't being included in the major decisions that affected me deeply. I didn't have a voice to share my sadness that I missed my dad because from one day to the next, poof, he was gone. And there was no like sit down and hey, but we're with this and your dad loves you. So, I literally had to make up my reality on my own, left to my own
Mm,
accord. And
yeah.
another part of that too, what I had to do was if I'm not getting signals and clues from my mom or my dad that I matter, where do you look next? You look to the world. So the world became my Bible, The beauty magazines, I would look at those and I would just literally form this self-hatred towards myself because, oh my God, my thighs touch, theirs don't. I told myself I had a horribly huge nose, which I went and got the 90s nose job as a result later. But I just found everything that I didn't fit into this world because if I were beautiful, if I were thin, that I would finally get the acceptance that I'm not getting here within my family. And the thing that led to the bulimia, and sorry to bring this up, but yes, it was my sister Wendy, God bless her. She had heard this thing that the kids were doing at school.
Mhm.
Oh, you can eat all you want. Then you just, stick your finger down your throat and it comes up. And she never meant for
No.
that to become like something that we would do. She told me about it. She may have even tried it once and thought, this is gross. I'm not doing this again. But for me, something clicked in me because they say it's about control. For me, it was a way to control my anger. I did not have a healthy outsource for it. So when I would eat, yeah, I enjoyed the taste and whatever. But what I was really doing, I was stuffing down my anger.
Mm, yeah.
I mean, I would just when I was eating and in that mode of just like everything ceased to exist, my life that I thought was so horrible, my ugliness, my fatness, it was just like magically it wasn't happening anymore because oh, I'm eating all of these things that I want and gorging myself. Like I would literally go from fast food restaurant to fast food restaurant. Go here, pick up what I wanted there, drive, get to another one, pick up what I wanted there, always being sure to get ice cream at the end because that really did facilitate, you know, the purging of it. The
Wow.
purging was the phase 2 where another form of control would come in. And it's like, well, you can do something about this. You do have some kind of power. I'm telling myself this as a teenager because I was the only one there to really direct myself, unfortunately. So it's like, okay, I can get rid of all of this now. I had the release, but I don't have to pay for it. And when you're in that as a
Mm,
child as
yeah.
well, preteen, whatever, you're not sitting there thinking, wow, this is horrible for the lining of my esophagus and it's going to probably make my teeth rot out. So that was how it started. And just to say also, my sister Wendy was extremely saddened by this, and I have the letter that she wrote me to this day saying, "When I brought this up to you, I never once wanted you to do this, and it really did sadden her. She even told on me, she told mom, and the only thing my mom could say was, "That's gross," instead of like, "Oh my gosh, we need to help her,"
Mhm. Yeah.
So I that's where I felt powerless but powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, thank you for sharing that because I think no matter what your addiction, right?
Yes.
It's about numbing or taking control or
Yes.
stuffing that anger, the emotions. I love the articulation that you had there that I was using food to stuff down the
Yes.
anger.
I
Um,
really
and
was.
and that, I have a problem with food, but I'm an overeater, so the opposite. And for me, and I've said this on one of our other podcasts, it is my rebellious spirit saying, "I get to eat what I want." And it
Huh?
doesn't matter when my brain says, "Hey, you don't have the metabolism for that. Like, you don't need a lot of calories. You know what I mean? It doesn't you just don't have the metabolism for that. You cannot eat that." It doesn't matter. My brain is like, "Ugh," I have this other side that says, "No, I will eat whatever I want," you know?
It's so interesting because, like, that rebellious that you had with, "Let's go ahead
Mhm,
and eat whatever we want." There's all like, the eating disorder, how it can take different forms. For example, anorexia, like, I could never do that, and then they're so rebellious to where I'm not gonna eat anything at all,
mhm,
so, yes, it's very interesting. It's not just a one shape fits all eating disorder.
mm-mm. And it's
Really,
all about control. I mean,
yes.
it's all about controlling because we can't control.
It's so crazy too because it's about control, but then what when we're in the midst of it, we really have lost control.
We absolutely it's delusional control. Wouldn't you call it that, Jada? Like,
Yeah.
delusional control? Jada knows a lot
Yes.
about psychology, so
Yeah,
Yes.
I would agree with that. It's like, you're trying to trick your own brain
mhm,
into thinking you have
Mhm.
control, but then
Yeah.
do not.
you don't. Yeah.
Mm-mm, you do
No.
not, and if people are listening, I know you can identify with this, if it's this addiction or others, but obviously we're talking about bulimia. And Carrie, what did that look like behind closed doors? Because there are people listening that maybe be like a Wendy or your mom that have somebody that's hiding it. Because you do keep it secret. Am I right? We keep it secret. What does
Extreme
that look like?
secret. I mean, it's, the kind of like along the it's always based in the toilet area,
Mhm.
and, that's well, let's be funny about it, but yeah,
Yeah.
but it is. You can typically tell if you hear, I read some, list about what to do, how to disguise when you're pooping. And it's kind of along the same line as that. You don't wanna have any noise. You're gonna hear excessive water,
Mm,
gonna be, a
yep.
series of flushing. Sometimes people are so into it and trying to get out of it. Like I got to where I was doing it at restaurants. Like I would literally go on a date, order the surf and turf, sit there, have the whole dessert and everything, and then go and do it in the bathroom. Like I had as soon as I had allowed my, self to get into,
Mhm.
the the mania of the purge, the binging, then I immediately needed the relief of the purging. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you'll see markers with, on the toilet lids. You got to look there. I mean, that's going to be the prime. I was started writing journals when I knew that I was having trouble with this, and I kind of looked at it as a way of like the the toilet was like the scene of the crime, but it was also the throne. It was like
Mm,
my place of, I don't wanna say worship, I'm not trying to be sacrilegious, but it was like my sanctuary, even though I was, suffering so much, but it was my release,
mhm. Oh,
where
absolutely.
you're gonna find a lot of signs. But I was doing it. I got to the point where I would even go out in the backyard, I would find some place there. I mean, you get to where you're really creative, and, maybe you have company over and you think they're onto you, or, I would wait, like, it was a downpour, I'll never forget, it was downpour raining in the backyard, and I was like, "They'll never notice this, the rain will wash it away." You know? I just think that you can look at the person, and you can see, like Wendy saw with me, she knew, and I wasn't even telling her about it anymore.
Mhm.
You can tell
Yeah.
that the person is just seems preoccupied. too, you know? You can tell their eating habits. And, sorry if I've gotten a little too gory with the details, but
No.
I don't think there's anything worth hiding anymore.
No, I think I think we need to say what it is here.
Yeah.
You know, here's what is happening. If you are dealing with bulimia, you are in the bathroom. You are finding ways. You are trapped into how you hide it, right?
Yes.
And the how you hide it.
Mhm.
And by the way, there's so much shame in that. When you're hiding and trying to not let people, there's so much shame there.
Yeah, I do not
Oh,
wanna be found out. I
yeah.
I you know, and to nobody wants to think that everybody knows what they're doing in the bathroom. That would be,
Mhm.
like, just the height of embarrassment,
Right.
you know? But
Yeah.
I get the feeling now that if I were around somebody that were doing that, but maybe I'm extra sensitive to it, but I can kinda tell, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And
I've
I get
had I've had one girlfriend that I absolutely knew because you could see the
Mhm.
signs.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I did talk to her and in a very loving, non-aggressive because you can't do that.
Mm-mm.
And she wasn't ready to admit it. You know, she just wasn't ready to admit it, come clean
Mhm.
with it, or anything like that. So I had to leave it with, "Hey, I'm aware. I love you. I'm not judging you. And when you feel like you are at a place where you want to talk about it, I'm here."
Right.
But it did put a strain on our relationship because she no longer wanted to eat near me,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
of course, and that's natural,
Right?
because people that stop drinking, maybe, people feel like they can't drink around them anymore or, it's that phenomenon of just how transparent and honest are we willing to be? And like you were saying earlier, vulnerable.
Well, and you got to be ready. I mean, you've got to be aware, right? And with
Yes,
yourself. I'm not judging her.
definitely.
She was doing her own. She was battling her own things.
Well, yeah, it's like I got that letter from Wendy. I kept it, but I did not honor it, I just was like, "Well, sh she doesn't do it, she doesn't get it," So, yeah, the timing is crucial.
Now, I have to imagine because my overeating has, affected my mental health, my emotions, my relationship. Did bulimia affect your health, your emotions, relationship? How did it impact your life?
I've as far as my health is concerned, I feel really fortunate. I did it I was deep into the bulimia for about 8 years
Mhm.
and, doing it regularly, and I'm very thankful that I don't have any long-term,
Mm, praise God.
uh, ailings or, like, destruction that could have come from that. For me, it's always been about my psychology and my emotions and my anger and my lack of self-control and need for control.
Mhm.
I think it devastated me when my mom found out and she did not for me, it was a huge cry for help. You know,
Amen.
it reminded me back to when I was suffering from bedwetting and migraines as a young child, and I knew that I had issues with my mother because I resented her for leaving my dad and not telling us about it. She took me to the pediatrician saying, "My daughter's having migraines," and the doctor knew right on what was going. She looked at my mom, she looked at me, and she says, "Tell me about your relationship. You know, how are y'all doing?" And my mom was like, "Oh, we're fine." And I'm just like, here I go again. I'm not gonna be heard. I was these the migraines were a cry for help. The bulimia was a cry for help. So that it definitely drove a deeper wedge, into the relationship with my mother, and because of that, it made me even go more deeply inside of just hypervigilance, and I'm alone in this world, and I'm the only one that can fix me.
Yeah. That's a lonely place.
Yes.
That is a very lonely place. I know there's listeners that are there, have been there. That is a very lonely place, but
Yeah.
we don't have to stay there. So what what happened? How did you go from that very, I mean, shameful, let's call it what it was. Shameful, unhealthy, destructive place. How did you start getting out of that? What was the turning point?
I I realized that if I was going to have to be the only one to fix me, then I better
Mhm.
start doing some research, you know?
Oh, okay.
Um, I did get to visit my father at his lake house in Maple Lake, West Virginia. Getting
Mm.
away from the site of the crime, so to speak,
Yeah.
was really beneficial to me. And,
Hmm.
because my parents didn't interact with me very much, I would go and, like, look into their libraries and books and find what they were reading, and I was snooping through my dad's box of books, and I found this book by Dr. Wayne Dyer. It was called Your Erroneous Zones. And I started looking through that and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's me. I do that." So when the light bulb went on that I wasn't alone
Mm.
and that other people had cried out for help, that there was a way for me to find a way to help myself, even if I couldn't, get that from my family. I knew that there was help out there. So that kind of led me on my
Mm.
search of deep diving into research, journaling more. I did go and see when I got back to Oklahoma, I saw a therapist, so to speak, and I showed him my journal and he really liked it because I loved to write. It was an escape route for me. Unfortunately, he kept my journal. So it's like there my whole thing about trust was, you got to be careful about who you can trust, but don't ever give up, and don't stop just okay, he stole my journal. That's not going to, end it all. And I just kept doing the journaling, kept doing the studying, finding more books to read. And then I got a job as a flight attendant for American Airlines. And something about leaving home and being put in a totally different environment, Chicago on St. Patrick's Day. Mind you, what I did notice, and I will tell people, is that I wasn't binging and purging every day. I was probably doing it maybe once a week. The occurrences started decreasing as my
Okay.
self-esteem started
Yeah.
rising. My
Wow.
fledgling sense of, "Okay, let me start flapping these wings a little bit. Let me see what I can do. Other people are out there that have suffered too. I'm not the only one suffering in this world," you know, and, not wanting to hurt myself anymore.
Mhm.
Our
Yeah.
my body was a temple, learning even things about that. Also looking into what the damage that could be done that could be reversible, you know?
Yeah.
Once I was on the airplane and I'd been flying for a while, I remembered the last time I ever binged and purged, and it was purging in the lavatory at 30,000 feet. And with the pressure, the air pressure made it extremely hurtful and
Oh,
uncomfortable. And I was like, I looked in the mirror, those lavatory lighting too, it's terrible, and the bloodshot eyes, and I'm like, "I've gotta go back and face my first class guests acting like everything's normal." It's like,
yeah.
this is it.
Yeah.
This is the last time that I will ever do this, and it was. So
Good for you.
be autonomous,
Mhm.
take responsibility for, you know, your psychological growth and get some wisdom. Help yourself, help others. And like I said, just becoming more self-determined, self-reliant, and independent of those dynamics that were constantly reminding me,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know, that was where I let it go.
Well, at least you'll never forget that. I mean, that is a dramatic that's it.
Yes. Oh, I can see it as I felt like I was gonna cry, like I was right
Mhm.
back there in that plane
Mhm.
and that happening because I'm just like, this no longer serves me, and this is no longer a reflection of who I am
That's
anymore,
it. Yeah.
you know?
I love that. I love the imagery and what you just said. It's no longer who I am,
No,
right? You're looking and you're like, "I am not
the
this is not
identity
who I
that
am. This is not a part of me."
no,
Right?
I wanted to
Oh,
get off that roller coaster.
mhm. I I have said this and I'm gonna say it again, and this is just Athena, so if somebody was like, "That's not scientific," this is just my opinion, y'all. But I really believe with all of my heart, addiction is something that's out here. It's
Mhm.
something that attaches itself to us and then makes us think that it is part of us, but it is not part of us.
No.
It is not part of our identity. It is not part of who we are. It is not anything that is attached. I mean, inside. It's out here. And
Right.
so if we look at it and say, okay, look, hey, leech that you
Yes.
are, we're going to get rid of you because you don't belong here. You
Right.
don't belong in me. You don't belong as a part of me. That's not authentically who I am.
Yes.
And I think what's really important is people understand it's a disease. It's a thing outside. It's not who you are. And,
Right.
I think we say too much, "I'm an alcoholic," or "I'm an addict."
I
Okay, you have
agree
addict
so much with this.
tendency. You have
Yes.
addict tendencies, you have a disease. It's not who you are. It's not your identity. So
No.
if it's not part of your identity, it can be dealt with. I think that's what's important. Again, that's just Athenaism,
Yes.
but
That's
I really believe
exactly
that.
where that's exactly where I was that last time in that laboratory. I no longer wish to identify with this.
See? Amen.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it didn't let go of me, I let go of it. I made like a conscious decision because, the things that I was identifying with it before, I no longer was identifying with, and I knew it, and I'm like, "This is a lie."
Amen.
We have to be able to go in those scary parts of our mind and the places that hurt and the dark places and just really, question it.
Mhm.
Because as many things that we can say, that it's true about it, there can be false or weighing the pros and cons. You know what I mean? So it's like that. It's like that with any kind of like I really strongly am for that because I stopped drinking. It's coming up on 19 months. And I don't like that label of I'm an alcoholic. And that could be a whole other topic and everything, but it's like that's another mind virus that no longer is attached to me and no longer serves me, and it's really helped also in healing a whole other host of emotional
Mhm. Yeah.
problems, which
Yeah.
I feel is part of the reason why we came to Earth and to have this life. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
I agree
Absolutely.
totally.
So for the people listening right now, one thing I hope you guys are hearing this. It's not who you are. It's something you're suffering.
Right.
And so what that means is it's a disease. It's something that you can get help for.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
You do not have to live with it. You do not have to accept it. So what okay, so I'm listening right now and I'm an addict. What support tools, what practices can I do? What can I do to get help in your opinion?
Research, do a lot of research. I'm not a huge proponent of where it seems AI is going, but even if you just do a simple search, even on ChatGPT or Google, there are so many books, so many coaches, so many people out there. And the thing is, it's like it's not a one fit all
Mhm.
uh prescription. Like you're going to try things. And if they don't work, be honest with yourself and go to the next on the list. Don't
I
give
love
up
it.
after, oh, well, I tried this and it worked for them and it's not working for me. So I guess I'm never going to be healed. You have to want it so bad that you will give up every presupposition that you've had about it. You know, you have to want it more than you want to feel safe in being like, I don't want to say victim for lack of a better word, but when you're under that delusion of, I can't get out of this, like you do feel like that, like you're caught. You have to want to get out more than you want to stay in it. And you've got to question it and find ways. For me, it was just doing a lot of reading,
Mhm.
you know, uh, I hate to say self-help, but you have to pick and choose from there. You have to be so in tune with yourself that you're like, "That resonates. Okay,
Mhm.
that I'm gonna keep." Get rid of the stuff that doesn't. You don't need to clutter yourself with like, "Okay, I'm trying this, this, and this, and this, and that," acupuncture, meditation, yoga, like, don't overwhelm yourself. Be gentle with yourself. And one thing I could definitely say is a lot of us maybe didn't have healthy parental figures, and talk to yourself the way that you would talk to somebody that you love, that you would die for. For example, that would be my daughter. when I start getting into that point where of a wobble and I'm thinking like, "Oh no, I'm doing this again," or I don't feel like I'm totally healed yet, what would I say to my daughter? What would I
Oh, I
do?
love
I would probably encourage her,
Mhm,
tell her to look at how far she's come,
Mm.
tell her the greatness that I see within her, tell her to be patient with herself, that it's okay to hurt, it's okay to be afraid, it's okay to be sad, but it's not okay to give in to that. Don't give up. And another thing, live in 24-hour day-tight compartments. That need for control, will take you imaging all the way into when you're 80 and thinking, "It's too much." Or likewise with looking in the past, I've got 50 years behind me of this failure. What makes me think that I can overcome it now? Stop that, that catastrophic spotlight thinking, 24-hour day compartments, and talk to yourself with love, because if nobody else is doing it for you, you can.
mhm. Oh, I love that, Jada, that has to be a mic drop, we've gotta pull that out. Go
It
ahead.
reminds me too, of a guest we had not too long ago that she, had struggled with alcoholism in her past, and she said something very similar. She was like, "I have to tell myself every morning, I am sober today." She said, "I
Mhm.
can't say I'm gonna be sober for 5 years, I'm gonna be sober for a year." She's like, "I have to wake up and tell myself every single day, I am sober today."
Right.
And it goes right along with what you were just saying, very similar
And
mindset.
even if you wake up and you tell yourself that,
Mhm,
keep in mind that you may have to remind yourself several points or times throughout the day, and there is nothing wrong with that, that is not a failure. That just shows that you're being loving
Mhm,
and present for yourself. You're giving yourself that loving attention and guidance that maybe we didn't get elsewhere.
mhm,
And what's wonderful about that is once you start giving that to yourself, you're gonna be able to go back to those people that may have failed you in your family, and you're gonna be able to give it to them. Maybe they didn't have it. You can't give what you don't have, you know, and just be gentle, but be vigilant, but in a positive way of like, "I'm not gonna give up on you.
mhm.
The story's not done yet."
Yeah, I
love that.
love I love what you said about talk to yourself like somebody you truly love,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because that is something in the last year I have worked on, and I do think it's part of why I am down over 80 pounds is because I am talking different to myself.
Yes.
My husband has often told me, Athena, you would this is before, he's like, "You would never speak to anyone on the planet the way you speak to yourself."
So
Like,
true.
he was like, "You speak life into everyone but yourself," and it drove
Hello.
him crazy. Like,
Yeah.
we were even he took me to a therapist and was like, "Fix this about her,"
Mm.
He was so he was like, "I'm over this." And, you are so right. When I started changing that and started talking and loving myself and encouraging myself, and it's been critical to my, healing journey. I don't think that will ever stop, right? I mean, it's going to be a daily thing reminding myself of the good things.
And
But I really I go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say to people out there, who might be thinking, "Oh, that's just positive self-talk and affirmations." Like, I get that. You've gotta find a way that works for you. I love the insight that your husband was able to give to you because that was so good. Like, find an insight. Don't just brush it off as, "Oh, I'm gonna be doing some mumbo jumbo, repetition, affirmation, self-talk." It really is the dialogue that you have with yourself. Also realize too, like considering your experiences when you didn't feel heard. I remember my mom used to try to tell me things later on in life, like if I would express frustration with a job or a coworker, well, you should have said this. And I thought, I'm not going to listen to you, you know? And so I remember trying to tell my daughter something and I could feel that same, and then I thought, she's not listening to me because I'm her mom, so I told her, "Talk to yourself as you would if you were talking to your child. Find a way that you can be loving towards yourself." And it's not just putting Band-Aids on bullet holes. It truly is like, "I'm not gonna give up on myself,"
Hmm,
you know?
yes.
And so it
Love
like, like you were saying, Athena, how that insight came to you, my insight had to come through another venue. Like, just be open to the insight. Be open to it. With the moment you find yourself starting to shut down and like, oh, that doesn't work. That's where you got to. Why doesn't it? Question it. You know, question anything that's going to hold you back from being who you know inside you're meant to be, and you're suffering because of the things that you're doing just to anesthetize and numb yourself, from this self-imposed powerlessness.
Mhm. Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. Now, Jada, I stay on because I'm gonna give some tips in a minute, and you might be able to chime in on those. But Jada, I know there's gotta be some science here. Give us some of that.
Definitely. Well, there's actually an overwhelming amount of science, so I won't give it all to you, but I'll give
Okay.
you some.
Okay, good.
But the first one, it really just talks about how bulimia is more common than most people realize, and it
Mhm.
often goes underreported. So, the National Eating Disorder Association reported that bulimia affects 1 to 2% of young women and also impacts men. And that is the reported version. So, there's a lot of people that don't report. So, I don't know if Carrie, if you could speak to that, if you were to go to a doctor, think back to a time when you were really struggling with bulimia, would you have checked a box that said that that was something you were struggling with?
Struggling with
Bulimia.
bulimia. Oh, would I have admitted it?
To a doctor?
I think that actually, because I was not getting because I wasn't being heard in my family dynamic, I
Mhm.
think I would have relished that. You know how I told you,
Mm.
pediatrician, like,
Yep.
noticing that there was an issue going on there and my mom shutting it down.
Yeah.
Um, I would have definitely wanted to say that to a doctor as long as I wasn't still in the household, because my mom would have canceled it.
Yeah, that makes
So,
sense.
I would say, but also I did have the experience with, the so-called psychologist who betrayed me by, keeping my journal. I think speak that speak your truth, take the risk because it's worth it.
Mm.
Um, that guy stole my journal. Maybe that was a chance for me just to continue and I could be binging and purging to this day. You know what I mean? But we've got to be our own advocate. And in some way, checking that box is a step forward towards that self. And it's not admitting defeat, it's not admitting a shameful thing. It's basically, "I'm owning this. I am gonna own this, and it is not going to own me, and it's not going to determine how I live out the rest of my life." So, yes, check that box. Let that doctor help you. Ch Tune into your intuition. If you feel that they may be looking at you as a circus freak or something, because that's how I felt. Really? What? How? They were so much more into the techniques that I was using instead of the deeper depth
Oh,
issues as to why. So
Interesting.
advocate for yourself.
Mhm.
If you need to switch to another doctor because, trust yourself. Learn to
mhm.
trust yourself.
Wow.
But
Mhm.
yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you for that encouragement too. I'm sure
Yeah,
someone needed that. So thank you.
really.
Right.
The second set of research comes out of the Journal of Eating Disorders from 2020, and it says that bulimia increases risks of heart problems, electrolyte imbalances, gastrointestinal, I think I pronounced that right, damage, infertility, and even sudden death. So the health costs are serious. Um, I know, Carrie, you mentioned that you are very fortunate that you didn't have, those long-term health, costs, but you also mentioned that you were doing it about once a week, and so, um,
I
I
started
just
I started off doing it every day, several times a day, but as I
okay.
found myself, that was when I was a teenager and living at home. And I found
Gotcha,
as I
okay.
got older and I got more distance from,
I see.
the situation at hand at that time, that it did decrease. And I feel like there's a relation to self-realization and autonomy that can,
Mhm.
I'm getting away. I'm
Yeah.
creating my freedom. Um, I am glad that I was able to see that it did slowly reduce until I made that decision on the plane. Uh, but for those that are doing it every day, it is extremely, extremely destructive.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I did experience was the bloating. the electrolyte imbalances, the heart palpitations,
Oh.
it's just it's dangerous and definitely something to realize that you're robbing your body. You think that you're giving it what it wants, but you're robbing it of a healthy, a homeostasis.
Mhm.
And it's kinda like people when they drink to relax. The truth is it causes you more anxiety, so you have to drink more, and it's the same thing with bulimia, you know? It just
Yeah.
causes more damage, and it's that same old vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So,
Mm. Thank you for sharing that.
thank you for asking.
Of course. I love whenever I can wrap you back in. It's more fun that way to keep the at least the science part, even more conversational because
Well,
I
it
know not
proves the
everyone is a
science.
well, not everyone's a science nerd like I am, so it's always fun.
Yeah.
um In the last set of research, though, it shows that bulimia is often tied to trauma, perfectionism, and anxiety disorders. So, treating it does require
Mhm.
addressing those underlying emotional and psychological pain issues. It's not just eating habits, which
Yes, root
I
issue.
think Carrie talked on really well.
It's so true. You know, I got to where I was balancing in between the binging and the purging to just eating 1 package of peanut butter crackers and drinking a big gulp of Diet Coke. That's it for a day and going running. So, you can imagine the toll that that's taking on a
Mm,
young woman's body.
yeah.
Um, the levels that we will go to hurt ourselves to look acceptable or pretty when all of that is such an illusion anyway.
Yes.
Well, they're doing everything they can. The photo editing. When I lived in Chicago, I dated a photographer, and he said, "You have no idea of all the ugly photos I've seen of Cindy Crawford that made it on the cutting floor." Well, they take thousands of good photos, and they make it look like it's so effortless and normal, and we put this enormous amount of pressure on ourselves, and, all that pressure, it's not only destructive, and the emotional, the perfectionism, that's not possible. Uh, you know, that root issue and, then the reason I brought up the Diet Coke and the peanut butter because I was trying to manage it. I
Mhm.
knew instinctively, I was starting to know that this is not good for me, but why don't I manage it this way? And, without if I was thinking if I just ate differently or exercised more, that those feelings were going to be obliterated.
Mhm. Yeah.
No, no.
No, yeah. You can't any addiction or anything that you're doing that is harming your body,
Mhm,
that you are using to numb or or just displace yourself. All of those things are actually masking healing. Okay? As
yes.
long as you're doing those things, you're 100% not healing. Okay?
No.
So I think that it's really important that we understand that healing comes first of all, and this is, the rubber meets the road here. Here's where the healing comes from. Here's where the recovery comes from. First of all, you've got to, and like what Carrie, you've got to get aware. You've got to get aware that what is going on, what is making me do this thing that is harming me, causing me to hurt myself, hurt relationships in my life, hurt
Yes.
the better good of my life. What is going on? And you need to get honest with yourself. With Carrie, it was she wasn't being seen, wasn't being heard. I will tell you, whatever the trauma is not comparable. I wanna say that. Your trauma is whatever it is, and it's causing you to do behavior. So get honest with yourself.
Be honest, yes.
And I know it's gonna be hard, by the way, to get honest because those feelings that are making you do that hurt, okay? They hurt.
They're shameful, but that shouldn't be the stop sign.
So
The minute it's like, start regulating yourself, tell yourself you can, and when you get to a point where you're feeling that shame and you stopped and you see the red light and put a green light there instead. Imagine, "Okay, there's a green light here. I'm not gonna see that same old red light anymore that's kept me stuck
mhm.
here. I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah,
Path is
and
own. I'm gonna hit some bumps and maybe, get a flat tire, but I am going to keep going."
love that. You may have a flat tire, but you're gonna keep going. I love that. I love that. And here's the other thing. Tell somebody safe.
Yes.
Once you recognize it, go to somebody that is safe and talk to them
Uh-huh.
and start working on a plan, right? But
Yes.
talk to somebody. I will say this, and this is biblical, but pain loves darkness.
Thrives in it.
Destruction loves darkness.
Yes.
And when we articulate with our mouth to another person the truth of what is going on, it's the beginning of the light, the
Yes.
good to be able to come in.
Yes.
And it's the beginning of the steps of, I need help. It's
Yes.
the beginning, by the way. That's not where I'm gonna tell somebody and it's good. No. Okay, there's gonna be more work there,
Yes.
but you
Yeah.
gotta talk to somebody.
Right.
Um, the other as we're walking through the healing journey here, number 2, and we've talked about this here, you've gotta start replacing the self-criticism while you're in the journey of healing with curiosity, with love.
Yeah.
You need to ask yourself, you need to be able to sit with yourself and say, "Why are we doing this?
Yes.
What is something going on?" You know, I love what you said, talk to yourself like you're talking to somebody you love.
Exactly.
You said I would talk to him like I would talk to my child.
Yes.
If you think about that, if you're a good parent, you know what I mean? Be a good parent. But you wanna talk to yourself with love, and you want to not shame yourself. You want to let yourself know, "Hey, I see you. I know you're hurting. I see it." This is something that this year has been powerful to me, is I have had to be honest with myself and say, "Hey, I know that you wanna eat because you are so scared about your daughter's health. I know that you are mourning and you're in grief because your daughter she's dying slowly. And I know and I just like, I know you feel sad. I know. And I let my body say, I know. And then I have to say, but you know what? If we go eat that thing, we'll feel worse. We don't, and I just have to talk myself through that and say, there's other things we can do. Um, and for me, I have to go do that thing. I've gotta go read a book, or I've gotta go for a walk, or I've gotta do something else. But I just wanna let you guys know, hey, we're being authentic here. I'm on a journey to stop overeating because I overeat because I am so sad about my daughter, right?
Right.
And
Yes.
I'm just trying to stuff that down, but I can't do that. It's not what's best for her, not what's best for me. So I have to talk to myself kindly to continue to be the healthiest me. And so if you're fighting this addiction of bulimia or anything, it's that awareness and start talking to yourself with ask yourself questions and love yourself.
Can
Um,
oh,
go ahead.
wondering if I could offer one last
Yeah.
thing about, like, when you're
Yeah.
talking to yourself, it's kind of a visual analogy because I
Yeah.
think it's important to try to find tools. And one of them that worked for me was, that feeling you get. Have you ever driven a stick shift?
Yes, I
Okay.
have.
I I learned how to drive on a stick shift, and
Me too. I
it
had a 3 shift on the column, no brake, 1949
oh my
Ford.
gosh, okay, I
Yes.
prefer stick shift driving. But do you
Yes.
ever remember when you were possibly got stuck in the snow or in the mud and you're in a stick
Mhm.
shift?
Yep.
And if you panic, the wheels start spinning and you stay stuck and you dig yourself even deeper. It's the same way with the self-talk. Breathe, be calm, and just gently rock yourself out of it. Don't panic. Don't let those wheels start spinning. Don't because you'll get stuck in and maybe you'll go and drink again. You'll go eat again. You'll go self-harm again, whatever. Be gentle and just kind of look at it as like, okay, I'm going to shift here. I'm going to go a little forward and question where, those thoughts where you're in. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
is this
I do.
really true? Is it really true what I'm telling myself? Could
Mhm.
the opposite be true? Investigate it. Don't just take the thought all full force ahead and run with it because that's when the wheels start spinning and you stay stuck. So I think the stuck in the mud analogy with the stick shift, sometimes I'll have to go there when I'm imagining ways to talk myself. lovingly through this, and
Mhm.
my daughter's sitting there imagining in the car with me, and I'm looking at her. She's not panicking. Okay. You know, visualization is, very powerful.
Well, and I think, the other thing is start recognizing your triggers,
Yes.
right? Recognize your triggers.
Being triggered again, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Know when the emotion when you are in, you're doing the shift and
Mhm.
you're going out. There are triggers. Identifying your triggers are critical. Um, again being transparent. Just this week, we learned another thing about my little girl, and I literally was like, "Oh, you're." I knew the moment they told me and I saw it, I literally said, "This is you're going there. You're triggered. It's happening." And I could
Right.
feel it. I could
Yes.
literally feel it, the whole body experience, all the things. And crazy enough, I was like, I want chocolate cake, But
Yes.
thank God there's no chocolate cake in my house, right? But I was
Oh,
like, "I just want some
right,
chocolate
right.
cake." I'm like, "Chocolate cake is not gonna help this. It's not gonna make this pain go away. It's not gonna heal her." But instantly, I was like, "Chocolate cake." Thank
Yeah,
God I don't keep things in my house I can't eat, right?
I
I
don't do
would have
that either.
eaten
That's
it.
a really good thing to say because with the bulimia, the ice cream was always how I would finish it off because you listen, you throwing up french fries is terrible. It's
Mhm,
chunky, it stays stuck, so yeah, like, when you're triggered and stuff, like you were saying, like, that you don't have it that's why I don't keep any alcohol in here for guests. I don't have ice cream in my fridge. If I have ice cream in my fridge, I'll eat it every night,
mhm.
and so it's we're strong enough to overcome those. The
Absolutely.
triggers aren't saying you must have this, they're redirecting you to,
Mhm.
"We
Well,
have a
and
pain."
here's the thing too, when you're in that trigger,
Mhm.
do yourself a favor, allow yourself to feel without going to the addiction.
Yeah, feel it.
Allow yourself to feel it. I sat with it on, that for 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday night, I sat with it. Cried myself to sleep, had a good cry, processed the emotions, prayed a lot. Um what you don't deny the feeling, the trigger, because remember the addiction is to stuff it down. So you
Yes,
gotta feel it, but don't be controlled by it and don't stuff it down. It's
yes,
really important.
yes.
Um, Very important because that's just reality. I cannot make that sadness go away, but I can surrender it somewhere else. I can let God have it. I can process through it, recognize that recognize that I can feel it and still exist and not be it go to an addiction and I can still thrive and have a good life. All of those things can happen and I want you to as you're hearing this, you can too.
I
You can
definitely
too.
support that suggestion of prayer,
Mhm.
and for me, with, daily Bible reading, even if it's just 3 chapters a day, I do, the Bible recap with Tara Lee Cobble
Yeah.
on the U Version, and, you read 3 chapters, it's not overwhelming, and then she does a recap with it, and being in the Word daily has definitely decreased my triggers
Mhm.
and or my fleeting thoughts of, I could have a glass of wine right now, nobody would know.
Yeah.
But if I'm in the Word and I'm reading how guess what? A lot of people suffered. It's being alive means suffering,
Mhm.
but the joy that's on the other side of not caving, I
Yeah.
mean, it's inexplicable, and I want everybody that's listening to know that it's possible and to get in touch with that possibility and that power just as intimately as you think you are within your failures,
Amen.
you know?
Amen. Amen. And the last, piece here, and Carrie talked about this too, but get help. Get professional help.
Yes.
And don't get distracted. If one piece of professional help doesn't work for you, there are other options. Okay?
Right.
So don't get you will need help. You will need professional help.
Definitely.
Um, I I just this week, because of the diagnosis that they gave my daughter, I am looking into, a therapist that handles people who have a loved one dying. A long there is
Even
a
imagine.
specific it's and interesting, it's not a PTS, it's somebody who there are people out there. There is professional help for
Yes. Yes.
whatever you're going through. You cannot do this alone. There are people out there. There are doctors, counselors, there are groups, there are other people. Please seek help and get
Can
the
I
help you
also
need.
say one thing too about that because
Yeah,
it's true. I would not recommend I mean, this is different for everybody, but for me personally, I thought maybe if I just take a pill, if I try antidepressants, maybe this will because I wanted to keep it surface level. Now this is just for me speaking personally. I know that there are people that that works with, um, but it th it's not, like I said, just a one fit all situation, and a pill sometimes it may help, but quite often more than not, it masks the emotional deep dive and keeps it superficial. So when you're out there looking for therapy, really get into the nuts and bolts of it.
yeah,
Don't just think
yeah,
I'm going to just take this pill and numb myself. It's another form of numbing. That's just for me personally. And like I said, there are all different kinds of cases and everything. But yes, get help, get under that hood, find out what makes your engine run the way it does and how it needs to be rewired for speed.
yes. And Jada, I know you know a lot of therapists. As we wrap up today, do you have anything that you want to add to that as people are going out looking for help?
I mean, gosh, we live in a broken world, honestly. I think no matter what your struggle is, whether it's bulimia, anorexiaism, alcoholism, whatever your struggle is, there's something underlying there, And I think really what Carrie said about getting under the hood and figuring out what it is, you may still need the pill, who knows?
Right.
But figure out what that underlying cause is so that you can truly heal. Because I think regardless, like if you don't truly heal from is what you're presenting with symptoms from an underlying problem. And if you don't get to that underlying problem, you're going to have other symptoms. You're going to turn to something else. Maybe like for Carrie, like she shared with me earlier, started as bulimia, then it turned to alcoholism, then it turned to other things. And for whatever it is, if you if you do something long enough, it's not gonna work anymore to mask that pain. You're gonna turn to something else, or you're gonna heal from, that one thing, and you're gonna go to something else, and really it's just masking what that underlying problem or pain point is. And so, I think as you're looking for a therapist, look for someone that's not gonna let you stay surface level.
Mhm.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think it's really easy, and
Mhm.
something that I've learned through just experience is therapists want to keep good therapists don't wanna keep you on their books forever. Like, good
Right.
like,
That's
yeah,
so
like, good
true. It's
yeah,
so
good
true.
therapists, like, they wanna give you the tools and the resources and help build you up into a person that doesn't need to see them on a weekly basis. Like, that
That's
is the
so important. Thank you so much, Jada, for
yes.
mentioning that because you
Like,
can always tell when they
yeah,
wanna
that
you as a weekly visitor.
totally. Well, and that should be the goal is to not have to see your therapist every single
Yes.
week. Um, but there are therapists, unfortunately, that don't want to go look for those new clients, don't want to be referred the new clients. They want to keep you on their books for as long as they can.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a red flag. So if you're looking for a therapist and you're interviewing therapists, ask them how long their clients typically stay with them. Ask them
That's a good question.
what their goal is, for counseling, because I think that can be really telling of whether they're gonna be a right fit and whether they're really gonna help you dig under the hood, lift up the hood
Yeah.
and dig it, deep
Yeah.
like, dive deep, or whether they're gonna allow you to stay surface level and not really dive into what your real problem is.
Thank you. Well, thank you both. I know we need to wrap this up. Thank you both. Carrie,
Thank
gosh,
you. Thank
you
you
have
both.
been a fabulous guest, and thank you for your vulnerability, your honesty. Jada, thank you so much for your wisdom. This is a great podcast. I hope the listeners felt the same way. But I know we've got to wrap up. So, Jada, what's next?
Yes, well, I will, make sure the email or that email, that Carrie's email is in the show notes. So that way, if any one of you have questions, want to talk more about what we've talked about today or anything else, Carrie has opened up her inbox for you. And so she's happy to be a resource for you, help you in that. So I'll make sure her email is there. And then also, if this conversation did touch you, please share it with someone else who, may need the hope. This is coming out on the week of Thanksgiving. We understand this is a very sensitive topic for the week that it is. And so we just ask that you would share it with someone that you know is struggling with grace, of course, and compassion. Um, and then other than that, just please subscribe. Leave us a review. That's how other people find this podcast. Our goal is to share other stories of hope. So also, if you know anyone that has a wonderful story, please let us know. You can either comment on the podcast or email us at jada@athenacaptain.com. So please do that. And don't forget, Athena's book is coming soon. So sign up through the link in the show notes for early access, discounts, and exclusive extras. But as a reminder, this is not your practice life. So don't wait for it to be perfect. Start messy, start scared, just start, because
Yes.
nothing's going to change until you do. We'll be walking with you every step of the way. We'll see you next week.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.